the big one that's new for me that I want to talk about is Entercom Communications Corp.
Okay.
They are an audio broadcasting company that specializes in sports radio. And so you have a big sports gambling push that they're getting a lot of movement on right now. They also have a big podcasting business.
Okay.
So they happen to be the number 2 radio broadcaster in the United States. They own like 230 radio stations, but they also own the second largest podcasting company as one of their subsidiaries.
What's the podcasting company called?
They have Pineapple Street Media and Cadence 13. They have tons of partners. They have a lot of different podcasts underneath that. So it's not like a platform company. Like they are like they're not like a direct Spotify competitor necessarily. Okay. They're more the owners of the actual podcast. So they're not offering anything other, like they're the content owners, basically.
Got it. So they're making money from the advertising on the show themselves?
Yeah, they're making the money on the advertising on the show themselves. And they host it. So what they'll do is they're a nice interaction, because what they've done is, in addition to their podcast, just like any other podcast, you can listen to their podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anything like that. Or you can listen onto their own networks where they have basically both sides of the deal. Because they have a radio.com is their big digital platform, but they basically take both sides. But their main push is the content ownership.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's an interesting one, because what's happened with this company is they are priced like a dying radio company, but they have a really large growing digital audio business. And the radio business is still very profitable and has a lot of cash flow properties in it. But the growing digital business is fueling growth that very quickly will overshadow any concerns of a declining radio business. So
how'd you find this?
I've been following the company for a few years. It was post around in 2017, 2018, when they actually bought out CBS Radio. So they merged with CBS Radio.
So they're the business that merged with CBS Radio.
Yes.
Got it.
They're the business that merged with CBS Radio. Before that, they owned like 100 stations, and then CBS owned like 150. Okay. And so they were the smaller one that bought a large company. They merged, and basically that merger went terribly and has crashed since then. I mean, they merged at like $12 a share. And then in April of 2020, they bottomed at around 80 cents a share. So, I mean, you're talking like 90% stock price drop in the 3-year period up until April 2020. And that's basically due to all the debt that was required for that acquisition.
Okay, so I get the general thesis. What's the valuation look like?
So the valuation is really interesting, and it requires some thinking through scenarios here.
Okay, so walk me through that.
So there's really 2 cases here. It's in part a binary outcome. Case 1 is the company goes bankrupt because they have too much debt and they would default on the debt. Now,
is there a lot of debt on the balance sheet right now? Is that a real risk?
So that's the key here, right? So you have massive leverage. The company has about $1.6 billion in net debt, and the operating cash flow on a normal basis, like a net income type number on a normalized basis, is like 100 million. So you're like 16 times like a net income type number on a normal year. But the EBITDA is like 450 million, because the interest rate, the interest payments are huge. And so as the debt's paid down, net income and free cash flow skyrockets over time. But what it means is they're leveraged both financially, but also operational leverage. So basically, if they increase revenue by 2%, they'll grow earnings by 30%.